Help support the show by joining the Patreon or becoming a YouTube member. Also, hit that like button and subscribe if you want more Browns-focused content.
All right, some news that just broke. The Browns have signed a edge rusher by the name, and I hope I do not mess this up, Julian Okwara. I believe he has a brother named Romeo. He played for the Detroit Lions for a while. From what I've heard, he's in that rotational depth piece, possible special teams category. I know people are asking, oh, is this something that keeps you out of edge rusher? I think a signing that would indicate definitively that the Browns were not thinking about drafting somebody like Abdul Carter at the top of the draft would be something along the lines of like Zadarius Smith, right? Like a real starter, right? Not somebody who like a Joe Tryon or something like that, but like a legitimate, proven bookend on the opposite side of Miles. Now, it might be the Browns' plan to go opposite of Miles with somebody like Isaiah McGuire, who showed a lot last year, especially in run defense. He was one of the better run defending edges in all of football last year. So maybe that's the direction that the Browns are leaning towards, and I think it's important to consider that as a strong possibility as we continue forward in this process. So I wouldn't assume that this signing means anything positive or negative for what the Browns are going to do. The same thing would be true if the Browns signed like Elijah Moore or another defensive back or something like that. I really wouldn't think that sways where I think the Browns are going to go in the draft, because I don't think those moves would be very much related. But I know a lot of people were looking at something like that and wondering if that was important or not. And, I don't think it's important, in my opinion. Now, let's move on to another subject. Nick Chubb posted on Instagram the Batman memes. He loves the Batman memes. We know it's his favorite comic book character. And he said something along the lines of, they're trying to write my ending, but I'm not going to let them write my ending. What do you say? Yeah, they've already wrote my ending when I'm just getting started. So Tim posting Batman in Gotham with that quote. I don't really know what to do with this. Look, Nick Chubb posts Batman all the time, and he's usually pretty cryptic when he posts Batman. And every single time, we think that, oh, this means something, but it really doesn't. If you're asking me, do I want the Browns to bring back Nick Chubb? My answer is emphatically yes. And I think it's important. I think bringing back somebody like Nick Chubb is super important for where the Browns are in their program and what Nick Chubb means to the Browns program. And here's what I mean by this, right? If you're a Cavs fan right now and you live in Cleveland, you are seeing the importance of somebody like Tristan Thompson. Now, is Tristan Thompson what he used to be? Absolutely not. Was Tristan Thompson ever like amazing? He was never as good as his sport as Nick Chubb was, right? But Tristan Thompson is not what he used to be. He's not the same productive player. He's not the same rebounder or defender, and he doesn't play as consistently as he did in 2016. That's not why Tristan is on the team. What Tristan does that's important for the Cavs is Tristan is somebody who buys in to the program, that has credibility, right? Tristan was a championship winner. He was a key player on a championship winning team. He is the link from the new generation to the LeBron era of the Cavaliers. And he's somebody who cares about being a Cavalier, right? You'll hear teams say stuff like, oh, yeah, believe in being a Brown, right? You got to play like a Brown. You got to play like a Raven. You got to play like a Steeler, right? And sometimes it means something, sometimes it doesn't. And the reason there's inconsistency on that kind of messaging isn't because of the words. The words are the exact same. It's because the ability to enforce the culture, to reinforce the culture more or less. Because if you're in Pittsburgh and you start not acting like a Steeler, there's enough guys in that locker room who remember what being a Steeler is like. and know what being a Steeler is like to put you in line. Now, sometimes it's successful. Sometimes you got to get guys up out of there. But that's what having a culture is. Now, it doesn't mean that everybody's going to fall in line with what you want to do in that locker room. It means that there is a line that is being enforced in that locker room, that there is a bar to be passed to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Some guys clear, some guys don't. Same thing with playing like a Raven, right? There are enough guys there who care about being a Raven that they care about playing like a Raven, and if guys are showing up and being Ravens. And that's what Tristan's value is to the Cavaliers. He is somebody with credibility, experience, and clout, and he cares about being a Cav. And that attitude is infectious. It makes other people care about being a Cavalier, hold prestige about being in this organization. The Cleveland Browns are not where the Cavs are, obviously. The Cavs are the 1 seed. They've been a really good team for the last 3 years. They've been consistent. They have star players. The Browns are trying to get where the Cavs are as an organization or in their program. And you're not going to get there if you don't encourage and bring back people who care about the program. Nick Chubb cares about the program. Nick Chubb cares about being a Brown, about winning in Cleveland, about playing like a Cleveland Brown and living up to that big dog, big bite, no bark mentality that the Cleveland Browns are trying to build in their program. You lose him, who fills that void? Joe Flacco is a veteran player. He's been around a lot, but Joe Flacco don't give two shits about being a Brown. He plays so many other teams. Like it's not important for him to be a Brown. He probably doesn't even have the highest opinion of the organization because he spent so many years beating the Browns in Baltimore. So who on offense is going to enforce or really care about being a Cleveland Brown? Jerry Jeudy just got here. We know that Joe Bitonio is not the most vocal leader. Offensive linemen don't tend to be the people who do this, right? So it can't be Wyatt or Joe. So who's it going to be? Jerome Ford? They ain't got enough clout. Like, who cares about being a Brown that can enforce that on the offensive side of the ball? And the answer is you got nobody if you don't have Nick Chubb. That's what Nick Chubb's important is. I'm not saying he's as useless as Tristan Thompson is for the Cavaliers as far as like being able to play. I assume that Nick Chubb's going to be better at his position than Tristan is right now, but that's not the whole part of why I want to bring back Nick Chubb. I'm not bringing back Nick Chubb hoping he gets 1,500 yards rushing. I think that could happen with him. I don't think he's that far gone, but I want to bring back Nick Chubb because of everything else that he means to this organization, everything else that he means to the program. He might be a $3 million player right now, but he's also worth the extra that you have to pay to keep him because he brings value to this organization for culture reasons. That's what Nick Chubb's important for. And I hope the Cleveland Browns front office understands that because I've given this front office a lot of credit for how they manage the salary cap and how they manage trades and how they've maneuvered the salary cap to be able to retain most of their key players. And I think there's a lot of good that they've done with that. But if there's one thing I've been consistently worried about this organization with, and under the leadership of Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski, it is the lack of understanding of the value of the things that can't be quantified. I'm not asking you to be holistic football GM and just vibe it out, right? And just bring back dudes off vibes. I'm not anti-science, right? I think science has a lot of a place. I think science and analytics and all of the advanced techniques that the Cleveland Browns have embraced as well as the rest of the NFL, including the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, who are huge first, what do you call it? Who are huge early adopters of some of the more advanced techniques in football when it comes to analytics and incorporating science into football. I think there is something to that, and there's a lot of value to draw from that. And the Browns are very good at drawing out value from those techniques. But there's also this other half of football, or this other quarter of football, right? Maybe a lot of it can be quantified, but there's this chunk here that's more of an art, right? And that's what sports is. Sports is not a science. Sports is not an art. Sports is this rare combination of both of those things. There's some science, there's some arts, right? For every single measurement you can get of, oh, this guy's fast, you have the art of just looking at a player play and saying that guy's really good, right? I don't need to know what Lamar Jackson's 40 is to know that Lamar Jackson can run really well because I watch him run. I don't need the numbers behind it. That's the art of football, right? The players who come through in the big moments, the guys who make plays at key parts of the game, the coaches who seem to make the right decision all the time. That's not analytics. That's not science. That's art. Now, making sure you're in position to take advantage of that, drafting these players, developing these players, getting the right bodies for the right positions and figuring out what you need for your defense and all of the important groundwork that needs to be done. Well, that's the science. Football is art. Football is science. You can't ignore one and over rely on the other. You got to be balanced. You got to appreciate the art of football. You got to appreciate the science of football. You got to appreciate the academic nature of football. And you got to appreciate the vibes of football. And with the Browns front office, sometimes it leans in the analytic direction a little bit heavily. Or a little bit more heavily than I would like. And that's where I get concerned. And not bringing back Nick Chubb would be a move that makes sense on paper. If you're evaluating the Browns based off numbers and a spreadsheet, it makes total sense to not bring back Nick Chubb. I get the argument. I've heard it a million times. But there's an art to it, right? There's an art to team building. And I think not bringing back somebody who cares about the program, who has the clout to get other people to buy in, is going to be something that ends up being harmful for your development. You need somebody who cares. You need somebody who has the clout to help others find their way. And in a situation where Myles Garrett's commitment to the program was in huge question because of his contract situation, you need to bring in somebody like Nick Chubb. You need to keep somebody like Nick Chubb. The Browns are at a very sensitive place in the building of this program. They've done a lot of good work over the last few years, but there's been a lot of things that have happened over the last few years that have also undermined the good work that they've done. So they're kind of at a net neutral place. The wrong kind of season, not bringing back the right kind of person can blow all this shit up. And that's where Nick Chubb is important. And that's why I hope that they figure that out or that they understand that and bring back Nick Chubb because, yes, the value he can provide as a running back, I think there's a lot there. He's coming off that knee injury. He needed another year off of it. He's squatting really well again. I think Nick Chubb can be good again in the NFL. I don't doubt that. I don't want to bet against him. But when it comes to what his value is as somebody who is buying into the program, don't damage that. Just bring him back. You know, I wish we would have handled this much earlier. But I want guys here who can buy into the program, who care about me and the Brown, and you need guys like that. And right now, we don't have a ton. Not a lot of people are proud to be a Brown after winning 3 games, man. You got to take it where you can get it. And that shit's important for development because you need buy-in. And to Kevin's credit, buy-in has been somewhere where he has not struggled over these last 4 years. But boy, are you at a critical place right now. So that's my 2 cents on the Nick Chubb thing. That's why I think it's really, really important. Really important that we bring back Nick Chubb. And I'm not saying you can't build a cohesive culture without Nick Chubb, right? Maybe you get lucky and you're able to do it because you have some success this year. But boy, would it be a lot easier if you just brought him back. And I don't see the downside to it. Y'all let me know what you think in the comment section below. You think I'm just being a bit too unscientific about this? Unscientific. You think I'm being anti-science with this whole thing? Do you think I need to embrace the logic behind it, the raw logic, or do you think I'm being too emotional about it? Or do you think I'm not being emotional enough? Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. But thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Have you a better night. Peace.